Welcome to Gold Derby. I'm senior editor Denton Davidson here with 14-time Oscar nominee, including 8 out of the last 9 years, and honorary Oscar winner, songwriter Diane Warren. You're back in the running this year for your song The Fire Inside from Eva Longoria's Flamin Hot. You sort of chased Eva down for this one, right? You'd known her before she even had a movie for you to write a song about.
Yeah, so I had heard about the movie because I worked on a movie called Breakthrough that I wrote the song I'm Standing With You, that Chrissy Metz sang in there. That was actually Oscar. Which loss was that? Was that number? I lose count, but
Might have been
but
12. I can't remember exactly.
yeah, it was like I think maybe 11.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But Devon Franklin, the producer of that movie, he was telling me about Flamin' Hot and how I remember him saying how he wanted to get Eva the job, and so I knew that she was going to do it. And he told me the whole story about Richard Montañez, and I was fascinated, because it's not a movie about Flamin' Hot Cheetos. It's a movie about passion, one as someone with a dream, against all odds, making something happen, right? And anyway, so and Eva had an office in my building, and I said, so when are you doing that movie? She goes, oh, we don't have a script yet, and blah blah or whatever, or we haven't started it. I think it was during COVID or in that time, and I kept annoying her. So, and finally, she kept saying, no, there's not a movie yet. And I'm like, okay, well, let me know, because I really that really that idea fascinates me. And finally, she said, I can show you the movie. I'm like, yay, you know. And I saw it, and I just loved it. It had so much heart, and it's really the American dream story. It's someone coming from nothing and creating something. That he had, he's a janitor, and he calls, the chairman of the company from his janitor's room. I mean, so anyway, so I had, I was really touched. There's a lot of heart. It's really a love story also with Richard and his wife Judy. There's, and anyways, but I saw it, and I wrote down the title, The Fire Inside, as I was leaving, and Eva goes, no, you sang it to me in the hallway after. I go, no, I wish I worked that fast, but I don't. I started the next day, but I had the title, and I thought it was such a great title because obviously, well, if you eat flaming hot Cheetos, you're going to have a fire inside. They're very hot. But what the fire inside is really about is passion.
Yeah.
It's that fire inside you. It's the fire inside, that makes you, you know, you know, where no obstacle can stop you. When there's an obstacle, that fire, burns it down. And, as I was writing the song, and I'm writing it for, Richard Montañez's story, I'm writing and I'm going, God, this is my story too. So this song is really close to my life too, because I had obstacles my whole life. I didn't know anybody in the music business, or certainly didn't know anybody in the movie business. I'm from Van Nuys. My dad sold insurance, and it was basically my fire inside to become a songwriter. I didn't have a plan B. This is what I was going to do. So as I was writing that, some of the lyrics, I'm going, God, God, I could relate to it. But then the other night when we did the Q&A, same with Eva. She had to prove herself. Same with Becky G, who did the song. We all came from, everybody involved here, Richard Montañez, we all created ourselves with that fire inside.
What made Becky G such a great choice to sing the song?
Well, when I cast a song for a movie, I'm like a casting director. So I'm the songwriter, and I'm the casting director. And what I mean by that is the artist has to be authentic to the movie. Not to the song, obviously. They have to be the right artist for the song, but they also have to fit within the context of that movie. Like Becky G was just the perfect artist. And Becky G could have been in the movie.
Yeah.
Then I've done like opposite ones. I mean, not to digress, but when I did the RBG song, I'll Fight, I did the total opposite. And since Ruth Bader Ginsburg, was such a small, she wasn't tall, but her voice and what she did was so huge. I needed a diva, and that's why I chose Jennifer Hudson. So that was like, what's that called? Like going against casting, but casting perfectly. But back to this, Becky G was just the perfect artist, and she's someone who came from South LA, and because of that fire inside to become a star, you know, and she was just the perfect artist for the song. And really, the song really, again, it's about passion. It's about that fire in your belly, that fire that, so many people tell you that you can't do something, that it's impossible, it's not going to work.
And songwriting's such an incredible art form to me because I don't understand how your brain works, and I don't understand how people can continuously come up with new melodies when there's been so many already. I mean, we have a scale. I wasn't band, but I mean, I could never compose a song. Um, how does your brain work? How long does it take you then to go home and come up with this? And is it common for you to start with a title?
I like to have a title because it gives me something, I don't always, sometimes I just start with chords or whatever. This song, I knew the kind of song I wanted to write. I knew I wanted to write like a reggaeton. I knew it wasn't going to be a big ballad. I knew this had to like have just like a really cool Latin vibe to it. So I just programmed this beat on my drum, and I started playing with these chords, and I had that title, and I was like, as soon as I had Nothing Can Hold You Back, no one can. Was it not? I always get mixed up. Nothing can hold you back. No one can kill your vibe. When you got the fire inside, oh, you're going to own this life because you got the fire inside. That came really fast. Um, and then I had the meat of the song. Then it's like, yes, I have a great chorus. And then, that post hook, oh, the fire was like, yes, it sounds like a hit, and it sounds like it captures the story of this movie. Now, how do I get there, and how do I get out of there, right? So it's always kind of like, I always say it's like building this really great house in the middle of a forest. And I got to figure a way to get to it and get out of there. So that's setting up the verse,
And it's a banger. I mean,
Thank you.
a lot of times we think of like a big sweeping ballad for the Oscars. This is something you can listen to on your workout, on your gym
Yeah.
playlist.
You know what people are telling me? So many of my friends are telling me they wake up to this song every day. Even people I don't know, they go, this is my wake up song. This is what I work out to. This is what, gets me going for the day. It is that kind of song.
Do you always write something brand new for a movie, or do you secretly have like a box
Oh
of
no, I write something new. I write something new.
how
Yeah.
many songs do you have that like just didn't get didn't get made?
I mean, I have songs that, because I'm always writing, so I have songs just kind of waiting for the right voice, because my other job is I work with a lot of different artists, but when I do a song from a movie, yeah, I like to get inspired by that movie. What I do has to be authentic.
And 14 Oscar nominations, and you lost all of those.
Yeah, I know.
You're the
I
Susan
hope I get
Lucci.
to lose. I hope I get to lose another one.
But Susan Lucci won her 19th try at the Emmys. So thankfully they at least gave you the honorary Oscar. You're the only songwriter that's ever gotten that. That
I
has to
know.
feel pretty good.
Oh my God! In 95 years of the Academy Awards, they've never given that to a songwriter. That it was the best night of my life. Cher gave it to me, But he's a little lonely, He wants a friend,
He
you
needs a
know.
bookend.
But I was gonna say this, and I've said this before, that just being nominated is a giant win. I mean, it is. There's only 5 songs, in my category, as opposed to the Grammys or other, awards for music, but this is 5 songs,
Yeah.
and there's hundreds of movies and hundreds of songs, and if you get chosen to be one of those, really, if you look at the people that are voting for you, they're the greatest composers and songwriters and people in film music in the world, on the planet. And so I consider that a win, and that's I it's amazing. But I saw the funniest thing this week. You mentioned Susan Lucci. So there was an article that said, "Who's the Diane Warren of the Oscars this year?" And all of a sudden, I'm like, "Wow! I just replaced Susan Lucci." So now it's the Diane Warren to lose that many times. So I kind of like that. That was funny.
Well, at Gold Derby, of course, we track the odds, and we're pretty good, but we're not always right. And we thought you were going to win for Till It Happens to You with Lady Gaga. So
A lot of people thought that, including me.
does that sting a little harder?
You know, that one, yeah, that one hurt a little bit, because I really, it's like, and especially after the performance, that performance that Gaga gave, was spectacular with all the survivors of sexual assault on stage. It was, everybody in the audience was sobbing at the end of that. And then it went to commercial break, and then it came back, and the winner is what? So, you know, but I was proud of the song I wrote. And then I ended up winning the Emmy for it, because at that time, if it was theatrical, it was a documentary, and if it was theatrical and on TV, you could be nominated for an Emmy, which I was, and I ended up winning, and
Yeah.
that was really cool.
And a little bit of your Oscar song history. I want to talk about How Do I Live? This was nominated. It was a massive hit for LeAnn Rimes, and it was recorded by Trisha Yearwood for the film. They were both nominated for Best Country Vocal at the Grammys, and then Trisha ended up winning. It's wild to me that they were both nominated in the same category at the Grammys. What was going on there? Like, how did that happen?
Oh, the whole thing was wild. You know, LeAnn, I mean, I think it's still the biggest female song of all time in Billboard, and if not, it's in the top.
It's up there, yeah.
What happened was, you know, to make a long story short, I knew LeAnn, I met LeAnn, and we demoed the song, and, you know, and I said, you know, at the time, they hadn't really chosen my song, and I said, yeah, you know, they've picked it for Con Air, and so we worked it up, we demoed it, and she went back home, and, you know, they spent $100,000 on a video and a record, and still hadn't officially been, you know, chosen for the movie. But she had just won, I think, Best New Artist at the Grammys, and Jerry loved the song, and he thought it was too country, the record, and her dad was the co-producer and didn't want to change it, and it was kind of crazy. I go, just change it for the movie. You still have the record, but they wouldn't listen, and so Jerry was like, do you mind if it's Trisha Yearwood? I go, well, I can't pull it from LeAnn. And then Trisha did it for the movie, and then Jerry wanted me to pull it from LeAnn, and it was all crazy. And anyways, at the time, I remember him saying, like, I'll never work with you again. But then next year I did Aerosmith, so we did work together again. I Don't Want to Miss a Thing. But yeah, it was kind of crazy. Everybody was really mad at me, and everybody kind of hated me until they all did really well with the song. So, you know, Trisha had a #1 country record. LeAnn was still in the top 3 biggest female songs of all time. You know, I think the only thing that kept it out of 1, I think, was the Elton John Candle in the Wind with Princess Diana. But look, it was a pretty successful song, you know, and I mean, that was the year that I knew, that was the year nobody was winning, so that was Titanic. So it's like, let's just go have fun, you know.
But what a huge song. LeAnn, maybe she should have submitted for the pop category, and then they could have won pop and country. That would have been something.
Yeah, I have no idea how they work all that stuff out, but I think at that time LeAnn was probably considered a country artist, though. I mean, I don't know, you know. Look, it worked out for me. I'm happy.
The 90s is when I grew up, so I think when we all sort of gravitate back to those years of your teenage years for songs, and you had so many incredible records in the 90s. What do you remember about that era? And is there a song to this day that you submitted, and when you got the recording back, you were just like, I can't believe this is what this sounds like? Like, what was your
in a good way or a bad way?
Let's go with the good way. Unless you want to say it that way.
No, I mean, the one usually, like the one that blew me away was hearing, like, I Don't Want to Miss a Thing for the first time.
Oh yeah.
CD, because I wasn't in the studio, I wasn't in, you know, I remember, you know, hearing that for the first time and just going, holy shit, this is fucking amazing, you know. Yeah, so I mean, you know, I just love to hear my songs, you know, come to life, you know. I love to be in the studio, you know, if I can. Sometimes artists don't want me there because I'm kind of a nitpicker with melodies, you know. But you know, like I was in there at the end after Becky G had recorded The Fire Inside. I remember going there because I hadn't heard anything till that day, and I was like, this is fucking awesome.
Just for my own selfish reasons, because she was my favorite and she's no longer here, you know, what's your favorite Whitney Houston moment?
God, you know, I have so many great Whitney moments. I mean, Whitney was the best singer of our time, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's hard to argue that, you know. I was so lucky that she did so many songs. But I'm going to tell you one thing I remember. On her last album, I wrote a song called I Didn't Know My Own Strength. And at that point, she had really trashed her voice, you know, from the drugs and everything. And it was just very sad. You know, her instrument was just such a gift from God, right? And I remember everybody's saying, you know, Clive loved the song. Everybody's saying there's no way she's ever going to hit those notes, right? Even David Foster, who produced it, he goes, she'll never be able to sing it. I really wrote that song for Whitney. And it was the last song she did. And I remember like David going, there's no way. And she came in the studio and I said, no, she's going to be able to sing it because she'll sing it from her soul, not from her vocal cords. That's her song. She's going to sing it from her heart and her soul. And she came in the studio and she sang it, and she sang it beautifully. And I knew I was right. And that is one of maybe my favorite moments, because I knew that she could do that.
And that song struck a chord because that's one of those songs that they still, even though it wasn't like a big hit for her, they still play it on like America's Got Talent when they're doing like those it's still an inspiring song that has legs.
That is one of my most well-known songs. And you know, sometimes it's not necessarily radio or the charts, because songs take on other lives. You know, people cover them and they do them over and over again, you know, and that's what creates a copyright. And a lot of my songs have become copyrights, including that.
When you're filling out your Oscar ballot, what do you look for?
Am I going to vote for?
What do you look for in a song? Like, what does it take to impress you? What makes a great song for a film?
What do I look for? Well, I first look for if I wrote it.
Where's my name?
I'm just keeping it real. You know, like, what do I look for? I mean, the song, like, it has to be a great song. Okay, so I'll give you an example. Okay, like, when I write a song for a movie, I'm not just bringing it back to myself, I'm just giving an example. The song has to be right for the movie, right? First of all, without doubt. That has to be but it has to also stand on its own as a song. It has to be, the song has to be, even if you didn't see the movie, that it's still a great, well-written song. So that's what I look for.
Are there young songwriters that impress you today? I mean, what do you think about this young up-and-coming generation and the music?
No, I don't know anybody by name. I mean, there'll be records I like and songs I like. Yeah, the craft, you know, I just hope people keep the craft of songwriting alive. You know, sometimes I hear stuff that sounds pretty lazy. You know, like I'll be working with artists and I'm listening to some of the stuff they've done. I'm like, I'm going to give you something better than that, because, you know, I don't know if that answered your question, but.
If you had all of your Oscar-nominated songs on a ballot, what are you voting for?
That's a hard one to pick. You know, I couldn't pick one, to be honest. You know, I love songs. I love a lot of them.
Well, what are your final thoughts then about Flamin Hot? What do you want people to get from the movie, and the feeling that you hope you can share with the world through your song?
I hope that through the movie and through my song, The Fire Inside, I hope that you get that nothing is impossible if you have passion. You know, that when you have passion, there are no obstacles.
Well, I think you've certainly proven that, and you're as good of an example as anyone. So Diane, what a pleasure to talk to you. Everyone go listen to The Fire Inside by Becky G, written by Diane Warren. You can stream the movie Flamin Hot on Disney Plus and Hulu. And congratulations on another great song, and good luck this award season.
Thank you. Great to talk to you.
Yeah.
See you soon.